So today we are doing our customary day before the tournament starts pickums, and the way we're going to do this is we're going to go through the group stage games and pick them, shock, surprise, horror, and then at the end of the video I will give you my prediction right now for what the top 3 will be. Now I will do a pickums probably when the playoff bracket comes out as well, and I'm sure that probably 2 of the 3 teams I pick to go to the top 3 will probably be out by that point, and that'll be funny to look back upon. But anyway, let's take a look at these games, and we'll start with Paper X Crew. And I'm just going to give you a bit of a spoiler straight away. I think Paper X will do well in this tournament. I think that although Crew obviously went on their nice run, one thing that worries me about Crew is that they did drop some maps along the way to teams that are a lot worse than Paper X. And with something in there as well, I know people keep saying something, he hasn't played an international tournament, whatever. No, Paper X are going to be good. And then our second game here is EDG versus Giants. And this one I think is more up in the air because EDG, I don't think, are on the same level as Paper X necessarily. I think they're obviously a very good team. But I could see Giants maybe creating a bit of an upset, but I will still go EDG here. I still have faith in Kang and just their crazy amount of skill to be able to beat Giants overall. Then we would get Paper X EDG in the winners. I know that everyone would think this would be a banger game and this is going to be so close, and it probably will be, fairly close. But you do have to remember that Paper X beat EDG with a sub. That happened, right? And you can't just write that off. And that was EDG when they, had all the momentum. Everything was kind of going for them. Everyone was like, whoa, what a crazy run. It felt like they were on top of the world. And then they lost to Paper X with a sub. And, CGRS, did well for his position. But he's getting, something's coming in and he's one of the best players in the world. So I'm going to be going for Paper X in this one to take it over EDG. And then we get the elimination game, Crew versus Giants. And this one I think is a very tough game to pick. I could definitely see this going either way. I've really gone back and forth on this. I'm going to go for Crew. And the reason I'm going to go for Crew is it has nothing to do with their runs in LCQ, these two teams. I think it's just going to be an experience diff. That, the Crew players, Kesnick, Klaus, and Nags have been to like more tournaments than almost anyone else, at this entire thing. So I think that just that experience of having gone to so many of these tournaments, knowing how these, internationals work and stuff like that, I just have a bit more faith that Crew will be able to deal with this situation maybe a bit better than Giants when the pressure is really on them. And then EDG versus Crew as well. Obviously, a tale of 2 teams that kind of everyone is somewhat rooting for, I think. And so this will be a tough one, I think, to choose. But I will be going for EDG like everyone else. Okay, lock it in. Submit. Group A. Done. Group B. EG versus FPX. I will not waste your time too much on this one. I'm going EG. No surprise there. Foot versus T1, though, is a real 50-50. A real 50-50. Because what I would say about this game is T1's best performance is better than Foot's best performance. But T1's worst performance is worse than Foot's worst performance, if you get what I mean. They have a higher ceiling and a lower floor to T1. And I think that that is what will matter in this game, is what T1 turns up. If you get the good T1, then they'll probably win this game. If you get the bad T1, they'll lose this game. I really do think it probably comes down to that, because Foot, I feel like I kind of know whereabouts they'll probably be. But to be fair to T1, I think as the year has gone on, they've gradually gotten better and better. And I do think that they will be good enough to win this game. So I'm basically just going to assume the good T1 turns up, and that's the T1 that we will get. I do think there's a bit of a problem for T1 in that they always play the same comps, but I think that T1 will just get the good version of T1 and that they should be good enough, therefore, to beat Foot in that scenario. And then we'd get EG versus T1, and I'm going to go for EG. I'm not going to surprise anyone there. But here's the thing about this elimination game and going into kind of the next part of it is, and I haven't mentioned this just yet, I'm an FPX fan now. Okay, I made the video for them yesterday about how they're so weird and how they play bizarre comps and how, I mean, they're not necessarily even, a great team, obviously. They have definite problems, but I just like them. I'm a fan now, okay? I'm a fan of the weird teams. So, I'm just going to pick FPX. Deal with it. And Group C is tough. This is tough. You know, I mean, I'd love to, you know, go for some surprise picks, some kind of, things are gonna. No, Fnatic are gonna win this game. Fnatic are gonna win this game, and NRG are gonna win that game. These two teams are the teams I trust the most in the entire tournament to make it to the, like, you know, top 6, top 4. Like, I trust these two teams more than any others, right? They got loads of experience. They know what they're doing. They're good teams. They'll get out of group stage. I have no doubt. I do think Fnatic will beat NRG because I honestly don't know how NRG beat Fnatic. The only way I see NRG, if it got to this, beating Fnatic would be Artist gets put on, like, Chamber, or his confidence just gets boosted way higher than it has been the whole year, and he's just able to absolutely go crazy on either Jet or Chamber with an op. Like, that's the only way I see NRG winning this game. Otherwise, I just don't see it. I just don't see how they can beat Fnatic, because to me they are, you know, these two teams are kind of somewhat similar in terms of their, you know, their thought to the game and, you know, their ideas and stuff like that. But Fnatic just have better players than them, and that's kind of just the basics of it, I think. And so yeah, I think that Fnatic would win that game. Now Zeta versus Bilibili. You know what? I'm gonna go Bilibili. I think that Zeta, whilst everyone of course likes this team, and again it's another team that people really root for, I know that the last Chamber stuff, you know, looked decent on a couple maps, but that is only a couple maps, and I think that Bilibili, I don't know. I'm kind of leaning into the Chinese thing, I guess. Bilibili won't be NRG though. NRG will get through the groups, but my little surprise here is that Bilibili will manage to beat Zeta and become the second Chinese team. Well, actually no, because FPX are going all the way through. But you know, they'll become the second team, maybe the third team, to win a game as a Chinese team. And now let's come to Group D, the group of disappointment, as I coined it. And yeah, this group, holy, I mean, it's, so someone's got to make it, right? Someone's got to make it. But I have pretty strong opinions about some of these teams. Okay, and so let's just go down the teams. Team Liquid are going to do the classic Team Liquid thing. And the classic Team Liquid thing, and this has been, you know, ever since the very start, the very first international tournament, going through their entire history of Team Liquid, any tournament that they make, it's always the same. They get out of groups, and then they go home. That's the Team Liquid special. And I don't see a way that this deviates. It doesn't matter how hard the group is, what Team Liquid version is coming in. You know, last champs they had, you know, Demasic coming in, and they had a hard group in last year's champs and managed to get out and then go straight home. So that's just what Team Liquid are good at. So that's what they're going to do here as well. If we get Redgar versus Angel Omen, I mean, just get Redgar. Just put him on Astra. Just put him on Astra or Brim, depending on the map. I beg you, Team Liquid. You'd be so much better off. Anyway, we'll get to Navi in a second. DRX versus Loud. Now, here's the thing. I know a lot of people are talking about Loud. You know, they're falling apart behind the scenes. People aren't getting on. The team's going to break up, all of that. If you cast your mind back, though, to last Champions, the team also broke up after last Champions. There was also reports after the fact, to be fair, that the team wasn't perfectly getting along, and some of those things have come out. But they still won Champions, you might remember. Even when all of that was going on, and even though they did break up after the season, they still did win that tournament. And they came off the back of a disappointing tournament at Masters Copenhagen, where they went out in the group stages and didn't, you know, do too well. Yeah. I'm back in on Loud. Oh, I'm in on Loud. Whether that's because, you know, they come up with some new innovation, or they just go back to the Harbor Viper stuff that they kind of created, I'm in on Loud. And I'm so in on Loud, they're also going to beat Team Liquid. Loud are winning this group. I'm telling you right now, Loud are going to do decently at this tournament. They will look better than you expect. But then we come to Navi versus DRX, which honestly is like perhaps one of the saddest games of all time. You know, like you think about FPX DRX, arguably one of the greatest games in Valorant's history. You think about that game, and then you think about where these teams are now, and holy, wow. Like, you know, I'm more scared to watch this game if it happened, because I might be so disappointed. But here's the thing. I think these two teams are in different kinds of slump, right? I think that Navi's, like, you know, downturn is actually quite a bit worse than DRX's. And I know I'm going to surprise some of you by saying that, but to me, DRX, they still did make it to the top 8 of, you know, Masters Tokyo. Right, and some of you might have seen the plat check clip where I locked DRX in at 7, and, you know, all the other guys were like, 7! But they still did finish top 8 at Masters Tokyo. And really, like, you look at the teams, it's like, well, they're still probably better than, like, you know, quite a few of these teams, really. So I'm going to go for DRX, because I think for Na'Vi, their slump is just everything. They can't figure out their team identity. Like, they're struggling with that. And so I have to go for DRX, because Na'Vi, it's, you know, they've got a CNED problem, they've got individual form problem, they've got comps problem, they've got, you know, team play problems. Everything just seems to be falling apart. It feels like all of the cogs just aren't spinning. And, you know, it's just... It feels like they just need a break to, like, reset and kind of figure out, you know, what they want their identity to be, what they need to focus on first and foremost. And they haven't had that break, and I think that is kind of costing them as well, that they haven't had the time to kind of, you know, reset and kind of think like, okay guys, this is what we need to do to improve, because it's just been a steady downhill climb for them from, you know, a lock-in where they were pretty good to now it's been, you know, just a decline really, and I don't see it getting any better at this tournament either. And then we get Team Liquid versus DRX, but as I said, Team Liquid, the prophecy needs to be fulfilled for Team Liquid, where they do the same thing every single year, and so yeah, they have to get out of groups, you know, then they have to go home. I mean, we saw it against NRG when they had a chance to, you know, do something in that tournament, and then they, you know, dropped however many map points against NRG and ended up losing that series. That is Team Liquid. They are just fulfilling their destiny over and over and over again. Get out of groups and then go home. So that's how this group is going to go. Submit it. Those are my pick'ems. You know, not the spiciest necessarily. You know, like, there are some groups where I feel like, you know, it's probably going to go a certain way. But those would be my top 8. And yes, FPX, let's go. And then finally, my top 3. We'll just do it in the pen here because it's easiest. My 1, 2, and 3. Now, last year, all of last year, I picked Fnatic to win 3 tournaments. So maybe I was just ahead of the curve, right? Maybe I was just like 1 too soon. And, you know, I'm just a year ahead of everyone that Fnatic will win 3 tournaments. Let's start with 3rd place. And my 3rd place team here is going to be Paper Rex. Probably not a surprising pick, you know, like, I think, you know, this would be a reasonable assumption that Paper Rex, you know, would finish something like 3rd. That would be another 3rd place for them, really, just there. In 2nd place, I'm going to put, and this will be a surprise to some of you, I'm going to put Loud in 2nd place. And the reason I'm going to put Loud there is because I'm a believer. I'm believing that this team gets back to it. And then I think they still will break up. And I still think that, you know, people will go in separate ways and whatever. But they'll do well at this tournament. But the thing is, no team has ever won that I have predicted to win. So basically, this is me somewhat trying to curse Fnatic. Don't know why I've written it like that. But sorry, Fnatic fans. Yeah, this is me somewhat trying to curse them. If this happens, right? If Fnatic do win this tournament, and then next year, Paper Rex win the first tournament next year, I am going to fully believe that I am just 1 year behind. And that all of my pick'ems will come true. So in that case, if that does happen, what this means is that Fnatic, you will win champs next year as well. So Fnatic fans, you can thank me for that if that does happen. So yeah, these are my pick'ems with those as my top 3. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. FPX all the way, and I'll see you tomorrow for the start of champs. I will be starting the stream probably about 45 minutes or so before the first game. That's where if you want to buy a team on the spreadsheet, you can. And yeah, I'll see you all then.